Now, when I bring groups to Israel, I take them to a cemetery in Jerusalem, just across from Mount Zion, in order to see the gravesite of Oskar Schindler, whose efforts to save Jews from Auschwitz was immortalized in the film Schindler's List. We had our camera crew with us this week, and as Maurice Sklar plays the theme from Schindler's List, here's some thoughts that I shared about this scoundrel turned saver of Jews. I want you to think about how things were for the Jews who were hunted down by the Nazis all over the world. And the fact that 6 million of them were hunted down, systematically murdered, because somehow they didn't fit into the scheme of Hitler's Third Reich. These were not attacks against soldiers and the military. These were attacks against elderly people, shopkeepers, school teachers, musicians, little children, disabled people. In the midst of that, in Krakow, Poland, there was an opportunist named Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler decided that he could make a whole lot of money by becoming pals with the Nazis, so he became a Nazi himself. And he built a factory that made pots and pans. And he ingratiated himself with the Nazis by bribing them, buying them liquor, providing them women. To be honest with you, Oskar Schindler was one of the biggest scoundrels that ever walked the planet Earth. He gambled, he drank excessively, he was a serial adulterer. He realized that he could make even more money if he used the Jews from Auschwitz and Birkenau to come work in his factories, because they were essentially slave labor. And he did something that's hard to understand, except that somewhere in his heart something changed. And instead of continuing to participate in that which brought him profit, he started using every dime he had to save Jews, and he saved over 1,100. Not only did he spend his last dime, but the fact is, he ended up being penniless himself. If Oskar Schindler had come to your church on any given Sunday, people would have whispered among themselves, "Who does he think he is? He's everything we find disgusting." But the truth is, Oskar Schindler, among the Jews, was named among the righteous. If the Nazis had caught him, if they knew what he was doing, he would have been one of the victims of Auschwitz. I suggest to you that this grave represents a man who outwardly was nothing that any of us want to be. But somewhere deep inside of him, God spoke to him and gave him the courage and gave him the strength and gave him the vision to save the lives of people to whom he had no obligation, but he made it his obligation. That was beautiful. That song gets to me. It does. Maurice Sklar. Maurice, these folks love you, and everyone who hears you play the violin, it's not just an instrument, it's a voice. And you have a unique gift that God has given you to be able to not just play music, but to interpret the music into people's spirits. Where did that gift come from? Well, that's a good place to come from.
No, well, I played violin since I was 4 years old, so it's been 50 years now. But I had a mom and dad that were extremely encouraging. They were determined I would become a violinist. I turned out a little different than they thought, but yeah.
I want to talk to you about, you've got a brand new CD. I have a picture of the cover of it here. Yeah. Rejoice, O Israel. I mean, you love this country. You come here often.
Yes.
Tell us about why this particular piece of music you've done is so very special to you.
Well, this is a very significant prophetic time. We are now in the 70th year of Israel since the independence, and also concerning Jerusalem, is it 40 years now? And so this is a very significant time, and I wanted to do a CD that, it's with the London Philharmonic, and wanted to do a CD to celebrate a lot of the Jewish, you know, a lot of the Jewish songs, especially in the violin, are, you know, oi, they're sad, there's a crying, but there's some happy ones too. And it's been a pleasure. We've been together now. This is this the 11th, I think?
It may be at
11
least,
or 12.
but the first time you ever came, I said, I'm not going back if you don't come.
Well, we're honored, and this is my 40th trip to Israel, too, since 1991. And so, yes, and I, as a Jew, and also a Jewish believer in Yeshua, I am, it's deep in my heart, and
Well,
God put it
it
there.
shows, and we're honored you're here. I want to tell everyone, Maurice Sklar has an incredible new album coming out. It's entitled Rejoice, O Israel, a magnificent work that's, as he said, recorded with the National Philharmonic Orchestra of London. He just should have asked me to play bass with him. I don't know why he didn't. But you can order it at iTunes or rejoiceoisrael.com.